Hello, Hero Collectors here. How's it going, everybody? Hope y'all are doing fantastic. I know I am, and today we're going to be reviewing these three figures from the Marvel Legends Secret Wars Anniversary Retro Carded Wave. We have Captain America, the Beyonder, and Iron Man. So without further ado, let's get into the review. Alright, kicking off this review, we have the Beyonder, who is a brand new character to the line in his jumpsuit that's very bright with all the jerry curls for the hair. Not really any paint detail along the body. It's just all different molds of plastic until you get to the face, which looks pretty good. He's kind of got a creepy smile, but it's kind of fitting. The pink tone on his skin is a little bright, in my opinion, but I mean, it's not like too bad. It just kind of sets him apart from some of the other like skin tones that they've done in the line. It's very bright for an unknown reason, but see the face paint there, digital face printing tech, looking pretty good. Yeah, not really much else to say in regards to the rest of the figure. I will say right now, one of my biggest complaints is how they did this articulation. It doesn't get as much range as you would hope, and it's just super gappy, so it's not great. It's, I get why they went for this, just to kind of not break up this design, but when you go to articulate it, you don't get much movement, and when you try to push it, it just gets super gappy, so not my favorite in terms of articulation. We'll get into the accessories. So first up, he has these kind of expressive open hands, a set of fisted hands, and then he also comes with a Battle World accessory. So it's different molds of plastic, mostly like this kind of black, kind of brownish color, and then the translucent orange red color, and then just a few hits of paint here and there. I think this is a really cool accessory. I'm glad they included it. It's something I definitely will display him with on the shelf, kind of have him floating there holding it. So I really like that. And then let's not forget the lenticular shield. These came with all of the characters in this wave. So you can see he has two different forms. So there's how you see him right now, and then his kind of energy form, because he is a Beyonder. He is not of this universe and mostly made of energy. So there's that. You can actually swap out the picture for one of these. Now I bring out two of them because the heroes get the circular shields and the villains get the square shields. So I'm just going to show you this now. It just has the instructions on how to swap them out, and it just says Secret Wars 40th. There's nothing really special about those. They don't have any lenticulars to them like this, but I just wanted to show that now. We'll get to the other shields when I get to the other figures. So now let's go over articulation. So he can look up like that, can look down. He is on a dumbbell, so he doesn't get quite the range you would on a hinge, but he can tilt his head side to side and, of course, turn left to right. Shoulders can go out that far, down, full 360, bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, and he is completely pinless, so that works. All the hands hinge up and down. We kind of went over the torso a little bit, but you can go off to the side like that, not much, go back a little bit, go forward a little bit, and he's just kind of got all kinds of hula hoop and twist. You can hear that clicking there. Hips can go out pretty far, can go down, forward ever so slightly, and back a little bit. Does have a thigh cut, double jointed knee, and does look a little funky on the pants. If that's something that bothers you, it is present on this figure. No boot swivel, but the ankles do hinge down. They go up, and he does have ankle pivot. So what are my thoughts on this Beyonder figure? So overall, I think this is a decent representation of the Beyonder for this look. I know there's a lot of people that would have preferred to have gotten his more space armor look, as that was used in the animated series, I believe. But I would have always preferred this look. It's just how I'm more familiar with the Beyonder, is the kind of jumpsuit era. Even though he didn't really wear it in the original Secret Wars, I didn't read Secret Wars 2, and the only time I really know that I've read a book where he has this is in the Illuminati book, which I think works for me. This is going to be how he is represented in my collection. If they ever decide to make the armor look, that's fine too. I'll have a spot for it, but I think I'm pretty happy with this one. Overall, my biggest complaint with him is the articulation, the ball at the head, and then the ball at the torso, or the dumbbell at the torso, I should say. It just doesn't allow for a lot of movement. Not that I was getting this character into a ton of like super dynamic, like Spider-Man-esque poses, but it still is nice to have that movement if needed for a picture or display. Does he have the fun factor? I'm going to say no, but that's mostly just I don't often have a good time posing these, like super powerful characters that don't really like move around much. I don't have as much fun because I don't get to really push the limits of articulation, and oftentimes I don't get to be as creative. So in terms of fun factor, I'm going to say no. And for a final rating on this figure, I'm going to give him a 7.5 out of 10. It's a really good representation of the Beyonder in this look. It has some faults, but overall, if you're looking for a good Beyonder figure, I think this will be good for a display, but it's not the best of figures out there. Moving on to Captain America here, you can see this figure is a bit paler in terms of the red and blue. I guess maybe it's a brighter blue, but if we were to bring in the 20th anniversary Captain America, this blue is much deeper and even has some highlights. But overall, I think these color choices are a bit better than this one. But I don't hate this one because of it. It feels more washed out. So what I think I'm going to end up doing with this figure is displaying him as my World War II era Captain America and have this be in my main Avengers display. So just kind of keep that in mind as I talk about this figure, because that does really affect my opinion on him. You can see here he's got a smiling face. I do have a little bit of paint scuffage on the A for my Captain America. He's got the wings. Come around to the back. See the star does have a hole in it for the shield. We'll get to the shield in a minute. He's got the pinless. This is the first pinless Captain America in this look. So there is that. And see the painted stripes there. This piece right here on the chest is actually kind of like a rubber overlay. And it's the exact same mold as the figure you just saw, just there are a few tweaks with like the gloves and I think the waist and crotch piece here, or the hips, I should say. Come around to the back. No real paint shading, but yeah, he is pinless and ever so slightly different to the previous one. I don't think it's bad in terms of changes. I just wish he was a bit more consistent with the color of the other figure, because I could have used these updated heads for my other Captain America. So let's get into accessories. First up, his lenticular shield. As you can see, he does have an unmasked and masked look. Yeah, it likes to really go far back before you can see it. And then here is his other head, the angry expression, which it's pretty good. Again, I would have liked the colors to have matched a little bit better so I could swap these parts between the previous Captain America and this one. Now getting into the hand accessories, as you can see, the figure has fisted hands on, and we also have a set of kind of grip hands, but they don't actually have any separation between the thumb and the fingers, so you have to only put in like a peg or a weapon you can loop in, nothing that can actually require going between the fingers. And then we have a saluting hand, you can go like that, and a pointing finger hand. These are only for one side. We don't get a full set of both of these, but yeah, there are those. I think we've had all of these hands before. What we haven't had before is this new broken shield. So you can see he's got a few pieces to kind of go with the shield that, kind of simulate, shards that you can align for display or picture or whatever. You can kind of see how it's supposed to plug in there. But there's no real way to attach them. They're just kind of there if you want to use them, but otherwise it does clip and peg like normal Captain America shields. So it does go on his back like so, or you can clip it to the wrist. And the silver plastic is a bit more pliable than some other shields that we've gotten in the past, so this is kind of bendy, and this clip doesn't feel like it's going to break like other shields have in the past. That can just go there on the wrist. So I think that's about it for the accessories. So let's go ahead and go over the articulation, which is the same if you have a previous Captain America on this body mold. So I didn't look up that far. Can look down a bit. It is on a ball and hinge. You can look side to side. Little bit of tilt, and then the shoulders go out that far. Full 360. He's got bicep swivel, double jointed pinless elbows. Go about that far. All of the hands hinge up and down. He does have an ab crunch. Goes about that far in and that far back. It does get a little gappy in the front. Then he's got a waist swivel. Hips go out that far. He does kick forward and back, not very much. He's got a thigh cut, double jointed pinless knees. Cannot kick his own butt. He's got the boot cut there, and then ankles hinge up. You kind of have to get over that little hinge and where the boot meets it, and then they go down, and he does have ankle pivot. So what are my final thoughts on this Captain America? So being somebody that has a few Captain Americas, especially classic looking Captain Americas in my collection, I was really hoping for something else to set this apart in the display. The faded colors don't really bother me overall if this would have come with some different accessories. So if he would have come with a full complete shield and maybe like his original triangle shield, which you may actually see one in the pictures I'm showing right now. I actually took that from my MCU Captain America. So that's where I got that from to pair with this figure. And I think that's how I'm going to display this figure, is with that shield and put him with my invaders. So if this figure actually came with those accessories proper and maybe some alternate heads that represented that era a little bit better, I would have had no real complaints. But because this is just an upgraded Cap, because he has pinless joints, but he doesn't come with a full shield and the colors don't match the previous one, it's just another classic Captain America for the display. Like if I didn't have that triangle shield to put with this guy, I wouldn't know actually where I would put him. The broken shield gimmick is fine. It bothers me a little bit just because we didn't get a full shield. I would love to have a new full shield that's kind of bright. I currently borrow Ultimate Captain America's shield, and it's a little faded for all of my 616 Captain Americas, so it just it bugs me a little bit, and I think this would have been a great opportunity to give us another shield, but such is the situation we're in. Maybe we'll get a Maximum Captain America, and that will come with all the shields and all the different heads I'm wanting. But who knows? As of right now, this Cap is what it is. I think if you don't have a Captain America figure, especially a classic one, I think this would be just fine for a collection. But as somebody that has a few, I think it was missing some key display options for a collection. Does he have the fun factor? I'd say so. It's a really dynamic Captain America. It can get some really good poses. I know some people would like to see improvements in the articulation, especially giving him a super articulated torso with some butterflies. I understand that. I do just fine with this mold. It doesn't bother me too much. And I like Captain America, so I'm always going to have a good time when I pick a figure of him up. For my final rating, I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. It's a decent Captain America figure, and ultimately, as it stands, it is worth it to buy. I just wish it came with something new, something fresh, something to set it apart from other Captain Americas. To just maybe get some new accessories to spice up the display, and maybe a full proper shield for a 616 Captain America. Last but not least, we have Iron Man, and this is the same mold that we've been getting for a lot of Iron Man figures. So if you have the Marvel 80th anniversary figure, or the AI Iron Man, or the stealth armor, or a few other armors that use this kind of similar torso or legs, like Iron Man 2020, you know what you're getting in for. But the biggest upgrade here is the fact that it is now pinless. The previous Iron Mans, I never really had a problem with them not being pinless, just, they never had super bad stability issues, but I can appreciate them upgrading a figure, especially if we're getting a redo of something we've gotten before. As you can see, the head, he actually has the eyes painted in there. It's pretty bright yellow and red. I was actually kind of surprised by how bright it is. The previous figures we've gotten of this style, it's been a little bit darker in tone, but there's not a lot of paint detail until you get to the torso with the arc reactor. It actually does have a little bit of paint for white little splotches on the arc reactor itself. Now, in regards to that, in a lot of the artwork I'm seeing, it's usually a yellow arc reactor. And I even went and looked at the original Secret Wars Iron Man toy to see if maybe the blue is a reference to that. And no, in the toy it was yellow as well. So it does kind of bug me that this is blue, that, we still don't have a truly definitive classic Iron Man with the yellow on the arc reactor. So I don't know, maybe they'll do an upgrade one day, but still, how many classic Iron Mans do we get until we get the kind of definitive one? But yeah, there's not really a ton left to say here, so let's move on to the accessories. And Iron Man here has a lot of accessories, but first up we have to talk about the lenticular shield like we have with all the other figures. So in terms of hands, you can see on the figure he does have fists, but he also comes with a set of blast hands, blast effect port hands. These do not have hinges, but they do have holes in the hands for blast effects, like these and the smoke effects. So these just plug into the hands or the feet. They both have ports on either of them, so you can use these as blast or boot jets, and these as well for like post him flying or blasting somebody. So those are fun. But some stuff we have not seen before is this gun, which also has ports for blast effects, and this grip hand, which is the first time we're getting one with Iron Man. It holds the gun just fine. And you only get one, and it's for his right side. So there is that. And then lastly, you get a set of roller skates, which, yes, this is actually a thing in the comics. There are a few armors that actually have roller skates. It's kind of a goofy addition to the Iron Man armor, but I think it's still fun at the same time. So you can see it just ports on there, just like that. So I'm not going to lie, I did kind of get this just to have these, even though this will go on my main Avengers display. So that was all of the accessories. He did not come with an alternate head, but let's go ahead and get into the articulation. So you can see the head goes up that far. It can look down that far. It does look left to right, and he doesn't get much tilting, if at all. So you can see there. Shoulders go all the way around. They go up that high. It does have bicep swivel. Double jointed elbows. The wrists go up and down on the fisted hands. The blast effect hands do not have a hinge, and then the grip hand for the blaster is a side-to-side hinge. Then he has a crunch going that far and going back that far. Does have waist swivel. Hips go out about this far. They do run into these discs, which they seem to get out of the way, but I wouldn't push it too far. I feel like they could stress and break. Can kick up that far, back not so much. He does have a thigh cut, double jointed knees, and nope, cannot kick his own butt. He does have boot rotation. Ankles go down, they go up, and he does have ankle pivot. So what are my final thoughts on this Iron Man figure? So not gonna lie, when I first saw this figure, I wasn't expecting to really enjoy it too much. I have a bunch of Iron Man figures. I have a bunch of figures on this body mold. I didn't think there was much more new that they could give me to enjoy the figure. And I continued to think that even when I opened it and just first kind of handled it. But once I actually started posing it for pictures, it's a lot of fun. Like, don't write this mold off just because we've gotten it a few times. It is still a fun Iron Man figure. I can understand if people want to see improvements to the articulation, like maybe adding in butterfly joints or something like that. I think it's fine as is. I mean, I'm not going to say completely no to those additions, but I think as it stands, it's a good Iron Man figure overall. And the fact that they made it pinless now for all new collectors or to upgrade people's previous Iron Man figures, I think that's great. They got to convert everything to pinless eventually, I'm sure. So this is just another step towards that. I think all the accessories here are great. Getting the blaster and the roller skates is actually really fun. Added some unique pictures to this figure. And overall, I think it's a good time. I found myself enjoying it a lot more than I was expecting to, and that's just a good thing to have when going into a figure you weren't expecting to enjoy so much. Does he have the fun factor? I'd say yes. He comes with enough accessories and has some great articulation and is a pretty sturdy figure to get a lot of poses and have a lot of fun with. And, especially if you don't have an Iron Man figure, this is a great one to start with for a classic comics look. So what's my final rating? I'm going to say an 8.5. I actually enjoyed this more than the Captain America, which I was surprised by, but I think it's very worthy of picking up. If you do have previous Iron Man figures and you're very happy with them, especially the classic looks, I don't think you necessarily need this. But if you feel like it's one to add to your collection, I think it's worth the pickup and worth the retail price. Alright, and that was my review of these 3 Marvel Legends Secret Wars figures, Captain America, the Beyonder, and Iron Man. Let me know what you thought of the figures in this review down below in the comments. Did you pick these up? Did my review help inform you to pick them up? Let me know everything down below. Make sure you like the video while you're down there and that you are subscribed, and I will talk to you all in another video, another post, another time.